Hi everyone, welcome back. Still in some pain, but that's not gonna stop me because we've still got work to do on the front end. If you're new to the channel or a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you again so much for watching. I greatly appreciate every single one of you that goes along on these journeys with me, even if they don't go anywhere, like a few of my projects kind of have. By the way, go back through my old back catalog and look at all my old videos when I was doing streetcar stuff, and there were some fun things in there. Obviously, I was trying to figure out what my niche was on YouTube, and I kind of think I found it. But today, oh, by the way, if you have a friend or anybody you think would be interested in this type of thing, send them my way. I do a lot of amateur, and I put that very seriously, amateur mechanic stuff, fabrication, engineering, and it's mostly race car stuff. So if you find anybody that might be interested, like I said, send them my way. That would be great. I'm not asking for no money. I'm just asking for subscribers to get, maybe someday Google will send me a few pennies. Today we are going to start work on the final little bits of, well, I consider it to be major fabrication on the front end of the car. Now these cars have, these tube chassis cars, these cars have frame savers designed into them. And what these do is hopefully, the whole purpose of it is, hopefully in any kind of significant front end impact, they will bend before the actual chassis does. These are thinner wall tubing with smaller round tube. This is temporary right now to kind of bridge it. We'll figure it out later when we want to put it. But these are built so that it will take the impact like a crumple zone instead of the actual chassis. What we need to do is we need to build the front bumper assembly off of this, the front radiator protecting bracketry off of this, and that will accommodate the the body mounts, like the front nose mount, when it comes time to do that. Now, obviously, we're going to do that when we put the body on the car, but that's where that will go. We're also, at some point, probably going to put a bar in between, like a bolt-in one, between here and there. At some point, we don't know when. We still have to figure out upper radiator hose routing, things of that nature. So what we're doing is all that stuff. We're gonna figure it out today. Luckily, I went to Harbor Freight and overpaid for a hole saw set, but they seem to work pretty well considering they're a Warrior product, and Harbor Freight's not the best quality, but you know what? It's pretty much all I buy, because if I break it, I just buy another one. Except for power tools. I buy them, but I also have Milwaukee's. Ask me how that turned out. Anyway, I got my hole saw that I'm trying to liberate right now, and this thing helps just as much as a tubing bender when it comes to fabricating. Sorry, I'm not, holding it, but I didn't have one of those for like 20-something years, and I finally got one like 2 years ago, and oh my God, it's so much easier than using an angle grinder and trying to like fish mouth all your edges on your bars and stuff for when you're fabricating. So much easier. We don't need the tube bender today, luckily, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a few stanchions up from the middle and just one straight bar across. We're gonna be using 1.5 inch tubing because I want it to be a little smaller than the actual roll cage of the car so that it's another crumple zone, right? Plus, I've got a second frame saver over here, and we're going to duplicate it so that if something happens at the racetrack, I will have a complete spare front end with a bumper. I'm gonna build a separate bumper for it as well, and radiator mounts and everything, so that if something happens at the track, the nose gets wiped off in a heat race, all I have to do is literally unbolt the whole front frame saver, throw it away. If we pop the radiator, I always keep a spare in the trailer. We could throw one of those in there, bolt everything back on, duct tape the nose back on if we had to, or use some flex tape or whatever, or rivets or self-tapping screws or whatever, and get the car back out for the feature. But that's the plan. Let's get to work. Second clip is going on. You can see my thought process here though by how I'm building this. These tabs, like I said before in a previous video, go to these radius rods or whatever you want to call them, swedge tubes, whatever. But the whole point of these is not to make it look fancy, because usually you just weld a pipe to the front so it protects the radiator and such. But what we're doing with these is we're hopefully, fingers crossed, allowing the frame savers to do their jobs in case of an accident. If we have something really rigid that's just welded to it, you know, replacing it, fixing it, doing whatever we got to do is very difficult. So if we get, you know, a glancing blow or something takes out the frame saver, this will move very easily. But in a front to back, it's not gonna move, you know what I mean? So that's the thought process behind that. So I'm gonna build the second one exactly the same as the first. I really hope that the heights are okay, because I added an inch to the overall height of the front protector bars here. I went and measured my old car and then I added an inch, and I hope that's enough, but who knows? Hopefully I didn't screw all this up. I'll tack this whole thing together and I'll just start sticking this thing on the bench so that I can weld it easier. All right, guys, 2 front horn sections done, dusted, completely welded. Getting a little low on the old tank here. Been doing a lot of welding lately, but once those cool off, we'll stick one on and we'll do the lower radiator supports. And then when we put the body on, we'll have to swap them around and do body mounts as well. So it's going to be a little bit of an involved process to get 2 bolt-on front clips ready to go. But, I mean, in the long run, hopefully that'll actually work out for us. So, yeah, there we go. Fingers crossed we can actually get that done in one piece. That would be nice, because I want to be as prepared as possible. However, as I get my helmet hair out of my face, it's quite smoky in here. I gotta go take care of my kid real quick, and I got some other stuff going on tonight, so I'll have to be out. But we'll be back in full force tomorrow. We'll start on at least the radiator supports for both. That means I'm probably gonna have to stick a water neck and some hoses on the motor just to mock them up. And then hopefully we can get those done, and then when we put the body on, like I said, we can swap them out yet again, stick some body mounts on both of them, and then in case of emergency, we're ready to go. I think it's a good idea, and hopefully it doesn't, for some reason, have problems. I don't know. But I'm gonna go get a drink because I'm hot, so see y'all tomorrow. So the next day and fabrication continues. We've got the front clips cooled off and built, and I've got at least one of them on the car right now. So I've got to put the water neck on the top of the motor, and I got to get another radiator over here so that I can mock up where that, at least the upper water neck goes. I don't think there's really anything that's going to be too in the way for the lower. I'm looking at this thing and I'm thinking to myself, you know, there's a lot more room in the front of this thing than my old car. It's kind of weird. So hopefully that'll actually help me out with a little bit of that radiator hose clearance on the lower, because I had real issues with that before. With this thing, I'm gonna have to shorten up the bumper to get the nose to look right, but I'm just going through things in my head, don't mind me. Alright, well, I got the radiator support in, I got the cross piece replaced. Front clip is essentially done except for body mounts and bumper, and I gotta figure out some new radiator hoses because they're a lot longer on this chassis than the old one, which is totally fine. I can just take the sizes, go to like Napa or something, just buy a nice reinforced rubber hose so it can't collapse. Should be fine. But what I'm kind of doing now is I'm kind of bored, and I figured there's a lot of bare metal in here that needs to get tended to because, well, we're not doing anything with it, and the only stuff I really need to do is cut a hole for the transmission shifter and do plumbing, and I can do all that with it painted. So I think I'm gonna go and protect this bare metal and the cage and all that stuff. I got the seat out, I got all the stuff put in. Like, I painted back here, but I'm not gonna do like some of it. Like in this area here, I gotta do like body mounts, like stanchions for the body and stuff. But like from here forward and in the middle, I can paint because, well, ain't nothing going on in there. And underneath we can paint last because, well, nobody sees that anyway. So I'll move the seat. I'm gonna start wiping things down. I got a couple of towels that I'm trying to get some of this surface rust and oil, because whenever they transport something, they coat it in oil. So we'll see how bad the paint job comes out, but what we're gonna do is wipe her down, take all the stuff out, and get painting. I got my fan running because, well, I need a lot of fresh air in here, but sometimes you get to a point where you're like, you know, I'm really just not motivated. I'm tired, I'm bored. You know, I feel like I've been circling the drain on this thing constantly and really not making that much progress, even though I have. So why not switch it up a little bit, make myself feel a little bit better. Let's paint a few things, let's make it look nice, let's re-motivate myself to get back to work on this. And like I said, if I accidentally paint over something that I didn't mean to, or that I have to clean something off, I can always go and grab my brand new power tools and just kind of, you know, knock it off with a little sanding disc, weld what I need to weld, and just paint over it. So let's remotivate ourselves a little bit. Okay, well, we're making progress. 3 cans of spray paint down. And the interior is mostly done. I still got to go over some of it because it's kind of hard to see when it gets flaky and, you know, overspray. You got to go over it and all sorts of stuff. But seems to be doing okay. Laying it on awful thick. This is a semi-gloss black. Instead of like a flat or a gloss, I got a semi-gloss. Because I figured, you know, just that little tiny hint of sheen is actually kind of nice without being too obnoxious. So we got the interior mostly done. I didn't do those door bars yet. I didn't do this yet because I'm probably going to lean on it or something. Because I got to put the window net mounts in. You know, stuff like that. But I also got to get back here. Obviously, I'm waiting on this, like I said. I did the fuel cell area before. I did this back section before, but we got to wipe down the frame area. I got to pull the battery. All this stuff to prep it. But I just needed a little motivation. I just kind of get bored with trying to figure stuff out. I get so bored with that. It's like, oh, okay, what do I have to design now? What do I have to figure out? What do I have to... And it's really hard to stay motivated when you're tired and you're just like over it. You've been working all day. Your arm hurts. But I think we're starting to finally get motivated again to see progress. Because I'm looking and I'm like, man, all right, that's done, that's done, that's done. The interior looks a lot better now that I painted it, and it's starting to feel like it's starting to get done. So it's like, all right, let's start mounting stuff, starting doing wiring and plumbing. Motors in. By the way, I did do like the spring buckets. I just kind of did that off camera. So the spring cups or adjuster cups, because we can't run jack and bolts at Stafford. Got to run adjuster cups. By the way, I get a lot of comments from everybody, and I appreciate every single one of them greatly. But I do get a lot of comments from people saying, oh, you should run this. Oh, you should run that. Listen, what I have on the car is what I'm allowed to run. That's it. That's all I can do. There's a lot of rules. There's very strict on stuff. Like I said, what I have is what I can run. That's literally it. I can't do something special. I can't be, you know, trying all these parts and stuff. It's not an open class. You can't just have at it. So what I got is what I can use. So anyway, like I said, I keep looking at it and I'm like, man, we're getting pretty close to the point where I almost want to start bolting suspension parts to it if I can get the painting done. And if we get this thing on the ground and going, that would motivate me even more. But like I said, we got to get there first. I actually figured out I need steel. I need like 2x2 box tubing. I might call up the local shop and see if they have any, but just to mount bumpers, make my life a little easier. So I think I'm going to take the rest of the night off. I might go iRacing. I might test my wrist out, see if I can handle it. Either way, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be back tomorrow. It's the next day. You know, I got even more froggy from last night, and I painted a heck of a lot more of it. You'll notice that some of it is still bare, like that door that was just in that last shot. And well, kind of both sides of each door, you know. That one has like only a third of it painted because I gotta still figure out a window net situation, which is gonna require some form of welding. And then over here, I got these bars not painted yet because I gotta come up with a door bar for that one, like a rub rail or Nerf bar or something like that. So those are going to be unpainted. The back is unpainted. I still got to get steel for the rear bumper placement and the body mounts and stuff. But this thing is at the point where if we want to see any progress at all, we need to reassemble. So I'm going to start throwing suspension pieces at this thing just to start whipping stuff at it. And once I get the suspension on it, we can start doing like plumbing. We can do brakes. We can do electrical. We can do gauges. I got to put the seat and stuff back in it. Like, if we just start reassembling now, we can paint around whatever we miss. I still got a few more things to do. I know I got to put the shifter in. Kind of goofed on that and maybe painted already, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. I only have one can of paint left, which is hilarious. I bought 6 of them thinking, oh yeah, that'll be enough. No, I'm like, I think I got the top half. I didn't even get underneath yet, so I'll be going to Lowe's and buying 6 more cans of paint. So either way, if we, like I said, if we want progress, we're gonna start reassembling. thing I do brings it closer to looking like an actual race car. Yeah, definitely forgot to do the window net there, so we tossed that back in. I use the same kind of setup as in the late model. Quick, easy, visible, no big deal. All right, so like I said before, the majority of the fabrication is done. And if we're gonna get this thing going, we really gotta start putting it together. I'm trying to figure out where I wanna start. Do I wanna start with plumbing because the suspension's out of the way? And then work shifter and under the car? Probably just start on all that. I mean, we gotta get this stuff done no matter what. So, like I said before, sometimes when you're putting a brand new car together, where you go next is confusing. You know, you don't know where to go, and some things may be out of order and some things may not be. And, you know, like I said, I wanted to make sure it was all painted so that I wasn't scuffing a whole bunch of paint off and then having to continue fabricating and all this other stuff. But at this point, it's basically, I have a lot of boxes of parts and a lot of stuff is all over the floor still. So if we just start throwing that at the car, I think we'll be in pretty good shape. So let's do that. I have, like I said, there's so much in my head to do that I haven't mentioned that it's very easy for me to get distracted. But I think I'm gonna touch up a little bit of paint that I just noticed I missed, and again, for the third or fourth time, start putting it together. All right, guys, I think I'm going to let this thing sit for a little while because she's tacky, and every time I bump into it, it's just another spot for me to repaint because I was putting the seat back in and I absolutely leaned on this bar and it looks like my t-shirt imprint, so that's pretty gross. But we got the master cylinders in for now. I'm trying to adjust the clutch pedal, but for some reason, this thing just will not adjust. I mean, I'm taking vice grips to it, and you should be able to just kind of turn it by finger. Because when I adjust my clutch pedal, these things have hydraulic throwout bearings on them. And a lot of people don't adjust them, and they push the pedal down too far, and it like pops the thing off. And you have to take the whole clutch assembly apart and clean it and put it all back together. And what I do is I basically run the pedal adjustment down far enough that when you push the pedal down and hit the floor, that's just enough to open it up safely, but not enough to overdo it. So I basically do it by feel. I'm like, okay, we push the pedal down until the car, you know, I feel the teeth disengage, and then I adjust the pedal down. This is kind of being a bit of a pain, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. Brake masters look great. Nice and clean. I mean, I don't know if I've ever had anything this new in my life. I figured if we're going to do a brand new car, we better do a brand new brake system. I don't want to monkey around with the old stuff because the old stuff gave me headaches. Let's start anew. I got to get a new fitting for the front master. Rear master is fine, no problem. We got to do clamps and hoses and stuff like that. I got to put a fitting in the clutch master. You know, things of that nature, but we're running into an issue with the frame rail. I even bought the short masters, but if I put a standard out fitting, it's not going to work. They make a 90-degree fitting. I'm going to stick one in. That way the line can go straight down instead of straight in, thus negating any frame rail clearance issues. But it is late and I'm tired of sucking paint fumes and other carcinogens that it will probably have already shortened my life by 30 years or so. So whatever, I'm already gonna die young because of my last name, so what's the difference? Anyway, this thing's really coming along very, very well. It's almost starting to look like a race car if I had, 6 more cans of paint and some tin work. But we're gonna keep rolling. This might be another long video, but if I'm on a roll, I'm on a roll. I'm gonna show you guys everything I do, so. There we go, now she looks like a race car. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. So it's the next day. I got a little bit of cleanup done and I got some other stuff taken care of. Got out here in the shop a little bit late, but that's okay. This is kind of the last day that I really kind of have this week to work on the video. So, gonna have a little bit shorter one for you, but that's not a big deal. We'll keep it a little bit more brief, but we're gonna continue on work with the brake system, I think, because I got a few ideas for mounting, routing, and all sorts of other stuff. I might have to hang the rear end in here, which is standing up over here in this corner, just to kind of gauge a little bit of where to run the bulkheads for the brake lines so that I can run just straight flex hoses to the calipers so that if I need, for any reason, to change the rear, we can literally pull the calipers off and drop the rear out of it. Kind of like what you do up front, pull the calipers off the hub, do whatever you got to do to that. So that's going to be a little bit of what we're doing now, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we can at least get that done. And I'm still waiting on at least one fitting for the forward master cylinder. Should be here next week, but that's not in time for the video. So we're gonna at least route lines and figure that out and keep going from there. The only thing I really did wrong was I purchased this steel, like not nickel or copper or anything. I wanted steel tubing, no flexing in that, from Speedway Motors, and they give you a heck of a lot. And I bought like the cheapest one thinking, it'll be missing pieces and stuff. It actually has more stuff in it than what I expected. Oh, by the way, yeah, I got residual pressure valves because, well, the master cylinders are down on the floor. Calipers are going to be above it. You don't want anything going back in there. But I bought separately no free ads, but these brake line bulkhead type of deals and the clips to hold them in, because you're going to be using these, I think these are -3. You got either -3 or 4 for 3/16 lines, and you can lock these into these bulkhead fittings. But I didn't realize they came with this kit. Also, these fittings, these 3/16 to 1/8 inch NPT fittings, they gave me 6 of them. I'm like, geez, guy, how many do I need? But anyway, they gave you like 15 different tube nuts, which is cool. Gave me 2 T-junctions, which I'm going to need, which are actually 3/16 flared, so you don't have to use these fittings, so I'm going to end up with a bunch of fittings out of this, which is really cool. I got to grab my flare kit and my bender, and I also got these, which are, I think these are the little rubber isolated little C-clip tabs for 3/16 brake line. I got to check to make sure I have how many are in there. Oh, I also got flex hoses. They give you a bunch of flex hoses, like at least 4 of them. I think they are 18 inches, but I bought 2 right angle ones that are, I think, 24, just to be safe. You can't go wrong with extra stuff. So this is the base for what we're going to put into here, and that's what we're doing. Now, my old car was a little bit old school. Obviously, the chassis was built in I think the early aughts. So street stocks were way different back then. We didn't have quite as many fancy parts. I put that in air quotes because a lot of this stuff isn't fancy. It's just kind of race car parts. Like back then, I don't even know if we had fittings for stock calipers where you could put AN fittings on it. Like I don't even remember that kind of stuff. So it was built with like standard brake lines to the front, which stock I think was 3/16, and then you ran a 1/4 inch line to the rear brakes, and that's what we would run because with a stock rear, the stock flex hose was 1/4 inch. And over time that changed, and the car got upgraded a few times, and we put, you know, aftermarket masters in it and aftermarket everything. Eventually it started to reach a point where I think a lot of the old brake lines were kind of messing with the pressure, so we're going completely new, completely different. We're not saving anything, we're not replacing anything from the car outside to this car. Everything is brand new, so that hopefully the same brake issues that we had with the old car will be non-existent with this one. That's why we're doing all of this work. So all of that being said, let's get to work. Okay guys, I've hit my limit for the day. I've been out here for hours, and I've only got like the main line from the front master to the residual pressure valve to the T-junction, all the way down to the left front, and the clutch all the way out to the bulkhead fitting, which look at that. Look at that unit right there. It's not connected because that has to come back apart, but this car is not going to be make, do, and mend like my old car was. This is going to be form, function, and design, and it's actually going to be something I want to be proud of. So I've been really taking my time on this. I really kind of hoped that this would be done by now, but it hasn't, and unfortunately I'm out of time for this video. But the reason for that is because I lost it on the floor. There it is. I think I tried to kill an ant with it. I broke my double flare fitting. So there's that. And can't really do a heck of a lot without one. But I did want to shorten the videos up a little bit for you guys because in the next coming weeks I'm very, very busy. And I kind of have to film like 2 videos at once. So normally long episodes will probably return within a few weeks, but until then I'm gonna go with a couple short ones just to keep you guys in the loop on what I'm doing. But brake system is still in progress. We're gonna have to finish the satellites all the way on the edges there, but we'll get there. Like I said, building cars like this is a process, and to be fair, I don't want this to be done fast. I want it to be done right. I want this thing to be so that when I push on the brake pedal the first time, nothing leaks, nothing feels like garbage, and I have pedal immediately. You know, I want to be able to touch the gas pedal and not have something fall apart. I don't want the engine to shake around. I don't want the suspension falling apart. I'm not building this on a time crunch. As long as this thing hits the racetrack any point before the end of the season so that we can shake it down and get a couple races or even one race under our belts to get all the components figured out, then that's fine by me. You know, that's everything that we need to do. So I'm going to go stand in front of the air conditioning, but I just wanted to say thank you all again for hanging in there with me on this car build. We got a lot done, and especially in the past few videos, we've really started making some serious progress. And I also ordered a few more parts. We're waiting on parts. We need some tools, and time is kind of short. So if you know anybody who might be interested in this sort of thing, send them my way. Amateur mechanicry, amateur fabrication and design and engineering. Again, amateur, but a lot of race car stuff. It won't always be race car stuff, but that's kind of what we're at right now. And again, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys and everybody who's come along for the ride with me and subscribed and done all that for me and helped me out along the way. And I got a bunch of cool stuff coming up very soon, and I can't wait to share it with you. So until next time, thank you.